Hey guys, the Chicken's here back today with another home gym video. In today's video, guys, we're back. The Chicken Home Gym is back on the channel, and I'm still going to be doing kind of the same stuff I was before, but I want to do more like home gym stuff. I think that makes sense for this channel. So today, what I wanted to talk about was cable machines. Why you would get one, some good ideas for them, and different variations you can get depending on your budget and your space, which are going to be the two biggest factors when you're looking at a cable machine. So before we get into that, we should talk about the space. So a cable machine is one of those things where it's not a necessity. It's just a nice piece to add. It's a nice add-on piece to have in your gym. It's great for accessories. Depending on the kind you get, they really don't have to have a huge footprint or take up too much space. So they can make a lot of sense, especially now. When I first started the home gym, it was right when everything was crazy, in the middle of COVID, and everyone was buying all this home gym stuff. At that time, there were options for cable machines. Number one, they weren't available. Number two, they weren't a super competitive thing in the marketplace because there wasn't a ton of people looking for like a budget cable machine that wasn't like a piece of junk off Amazon that worked well and it didn't break the bank at the same time. So we're seeing a lot of really great options in like the $800 to $1,300 range now. There's one I just posted on my Instagram at the Chicken24 that, it's my other Instagram. It's at Chicken Home Gym that I'm looking at getting for probably my next purchase. So again, before we get into that, I wanted to talk about storage and space first. So I think that's one of the biggest underlooked things about getting a home gym is you're going to lose out a ton on storage space. So it really makes a lot of sense to plan your gym out and to make space where you didn't have it before. So I don't know if you guys can see here, but it was looking pretty bleak in here a little bit ago, but I've at least got it to the point where I'm not constantly tripping over myself, which is nice. I've got the it's obviously in the basement, but I've got more foot space now. So I got some storage racks, cleaned some stuff out, just general things. But it's good to keep that in mind when you start a home gym, at least, because then it allows you to plan for equipment, and then if you want to add things on in the future, you have the capacity to do it versus, oh shit, I really wish I had this, but I have no space for it. So obviously the rack and the bench and the main stuff is going to come in first, and then the fun stuff comes in after. So for cable machines, I think what really makes sense, especially now, is something like the one I said I posted on my Instagram, the Bells of Steel, I forget what it's called, just cable machine. And I think the best way to do it is to get a single tower with something that allows you to add on multiple attachments, something that has a dual pulley so you can do like a chest fly if you want to right off the top. It's going to allow you to do lat pull downs, which is one of the most difficult exercises to mimic. I've got some kind of hacky setups that I do with like a barbell and bands, but I'm still pulling the opposite way. It'd be really nice to have that, vertical pull, which is tough to do. It's one of the things that I definitely miss for sure. But I think something like that, like a single tower, if you're looking like purely on budget and space, which are going to be the two biggest constraints always when we look at this kind of stuff, right? So I think if you're looking at those two things, single tower makes the most sense. There are some nice ones too that are, you could look at wall mounted functional trainers. Going to be a little bit more pricey because you're looking at, potentially double stacks. And, with cable machines comes just that too, right? Are you going to be looking at plate loaded or selectorized with the stack? So the stack is really ideal for home gym because everything about your gym, it's nice to have it being quick and easily accessible, and moving plates around, especially in like a smaller kind of space, it becomes a pain in the ass over time. I find that's something that I definitely end up spending more money on, is things that allow me to just kind of move freely throughout the gym and don't bottleneck my workouts by having to wait and set something up. I'm a lot more likely, maybe this is just me, but a lot more likely to skip an exercise if it involves, a lot of setup, or if it's just annoying to set it up. If I have something that's just, ready to go, then I have no reason to skip it, So stuff like that makes sense over time, like over in the long haul. Now, if you're doing like an ultra budget setup, obviously, that doesn't make sense. The The thing with the plate loaded ones is they'll work fine, but I don't really love plate loaded machines in general. I find, you know, they're tough to load perfectly. You don't get that same kind of stretch and same kind of feeling as you do out of a plate. It's harder to overload it, and it's you know, it's cheaper for a reason. It's just simply not as good as a selectorized machine. So that being said, there are now some budget options. Maybe I'll link them down below if you guys are interested, but you can just check out the Instagram. I'll post some more options there after I post this video, but yeah, so I think single tower makes sense. Again, that's going to come down to space and budget. Something with a dual pulley or like a 4-pulley system that allows you to, at the very least, do high and low rows. You know, you can do your cable curls on the bottom. And I would also look for something that's not like just purely a cable machine. So a lot of companies are coming out with stuff now that's a lot more similar to a power rack. So it's going to have, you know, hole spacing. And the benefit of that is you can put more attachments on it, right? So you can get even more variability. You can get more potentially add-ons for it. I know some of the cable units, they allow you to mount like a dip attachment. I don't know if I've ever seen a pull-up one, but I'm sure, you know, if you have the height for it, which I don't, but if you have the height for it, then that would probably be doable as well. So it's essentially anything you can put on a rack for the most part that you can put on one side, you could put onto a cable machine. So it's just kind of nice to be able to have that ability to do that. You know, you want to kind of future-proof your equipment in a way. So you're not, you know, having to buy a totally new thing or, you know, go through the process of selling it. Which isn't a huge concern for home gym stuff, because typically when you go to sell it, you can usually get your money back. Or at the very least, you know, you used to be able to make money doing it a couple years ago, but now it's kind of coming back down to normal, and especially people just don't have as much money anymore these days. So, you know, you can, yeah, you might take a hit on it, 100 or 200 bucks, but whenever I sell stuff, like I forget if it was last year or the year before, but I bought the Kabuki Cadillac bar, and I loved it. It was a great bar. There was nothing really wrong with it. I just couldn't really justify the cost. And although I liked it, I didn't love it. It really was something I wanted at the time because I was having shoulder issues and I hadn't bench pressed for like 4 months. But the neutral press didn't bother me at all. So that's why I wanted some sort of bench press bar. But it wasn't a problem. So I had it for like 3 or 4 months, and I basically used it until I was healed enough to bench normally, and then I turned around and sold it. And I think I took $100 hit on it, but I mean, I would pay $100 to use a Cadillac bar for, you know, to rent it out for the time being. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you got to buy something and then sell it. But it is nice to not have to do that. So if you can, you know, plan your stuff out a little bit better, you know, that's always a benefit. So yeah, I think that's basically it. Now, if we look at some of the, like the Amazon ones, like the Marcy, you know, I forget what they're called. It's like they're the home gym, like all in one unit kind of thing. Those can be good. If I was going to get something like that, I'd actually be really interested in getting one of those PowerTech stations. Those look pretty cool. For all the stuff you can do on it, it's at a pretty good price, and it's at a decent enough, you know, it'll take up some space, but it's not going to, you know, kill you on the footprint of it, which is nice. But that's kind of the high end. The lower end stuff I would probably stay away from, because typically they have issues with loading. It's difficult to, you know, get the right amount of weight on there. Usually if you're buying something that's like under $400, it's not really the best build quality, so you're risking, you know, plastic parts breaking or things like that. But yeah, so I think there's some nice options now in that space of cable machine that makes a lot of sense for a home gym. So you guys let me know, do you have a cable machine? Do you not have a cable machine? Are you interested in getting one? Because I think the reason I'm talking about this is probably going to be my next purchase, whenever that ends up being. So, you know, get through Christmas and then wait for the sales. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoy the video. Kind of interesting, entertaining, or informative. We'll catch you next one, guys. Check it out. Bang, bang.